On the previous episode of The Kraken's Deep. Can someone explain what's going on? Basically, someone leaked information they received from a notorious counterfeit company when they were looking for proxies. They received images and videos of exact copies of Kickstarter Metazoo cards with exact foiling, stock, etc., and copies such as 1 of 100 promos in stacks. When asked if they can have one, they said they won't sell, but can alter the image 10%, which states that they can produce the exact copy of a Kickstarter or first edition Cryptid Nation card. When brought to the attention of Mike, he's saying this isn't a manufacturer they used, but the images and videos they sent to the leak are only images and videos a manufacturer who does business with Metazoo would have. They also sent an image Mike used himself. So in all, either Mike is lying and used a notorious counterfeiter as his initial source, which will destroy his trust to people and especially the collectible side, or he produced a card that is so easily replicated that it will also destroy the collectible side. It's a lose-lose to all. Alright, so this was a comment taking from one of my posts. I thought it was very well written. It kind of summed up the video pretty much perfectly, so we went ahead and used it as an example. Let's go ahead and back out of this, and we're going to go ahead and start with the entire story chronologically as we discovered it, and we're going to go ahead and jump right in. The source gave off a couple new images. He said, hey, all they asked me to do was to change the logo, they asked me to change the copyright symbol, and they asked me to change the bottom trademark and the illustration names and stuff like that. Okay. I want to note that a lot of people are saying that these cards are proxies because you have the red arrow down there on the bottom. That red arrow is digitally placed there. It is a digital layer put on by Jane Kane from Best Tarot House, which is who we thought was the original manufacturer for Metazoo, but it looks like they are now a counterfeit company. We do have the name of the original manufacturer, and we don't think that this is over. We think that there's more to the story, and we're going to continue to dig, but we're going to show you everything that we have today. This was a group effort, a community effort. We had massive names in the industry give input. We had people who are big YouTubers. We had small YouTubers. We had people who have experience in imports and exports, provide imports, documents, and stuff like that. And we're just going to get into every single thing, and I'll explain every picture as we go along. Here, as for the back of cards, you need to amend the two parts in other logo or word. As for the front of the cards, you need to amend the bottom card and QR code. And then we're going into here. By the time that this was put out on November 2nd, this video already had about 1,000 views, this last video. And Mike was banning people, or Mike's team was banning people left and right in the Discord. If you asked questions, if you asked probing questions, if you shared the video, if you talked about the content of the video, if you asked about the manufacturer, you were getting banned early on in the discussion. When that started adding fuel to the fire and the video started popping off and it had about 2,000 views, Mike and his team went ahead and was like, hey, sorry about that. Sometimes the mods can be trigger happy, haha, or misclick. I appreciate the understanding. This was an image sent by this gentleman who was banned and then was allowed back. So they did a little bit of backtracking there. Next, this is from Best Tarot House. Okay, so there's going to be different chats from Alibaba, and I'm going to explain who the company is for every single chat, so there's no confusion. So this is Best Tarot House. This is the counterfeiter. This is when I was doing some mystery shopping to try to figure out, like, hey, I wonder if I get some of these images myself. Hey, I'm interested in having some foils, blah, blah, blah. Not yet. I'm currently researching costs. I understand that. I want to make proxies of the game that already exists. Can you do that? Oh, sorry, we can't make it for you. I was like, okay. So by this time, the counterfeiter knew that their game was up. The news had already spread. The video had already made a ton of phone calls across the world. People were wanting to know what's actually going on. This is from the source, and this agent is from Best Tarot House, the Counterfeiter. The Counterfeiter actually got a hold of my video link, and they asked the source, like, hey, hi, Andy, do you know the YouTube? And at that point, we knew that we couldn't do any more research with the Counterfeiter. They basically shuttered their doors, and they have stopped talking. Here's the information for Dongguan Tarot House Printing Co. Limited in Guangdong. Okay, and then here's more information. Their total annual revenue, which is interesting, is about $10 million to $50 million. That's going to be a very interesting number, and we're going to talk about the economics of that in another video. But for now, we're just going to leave that here. Then I started to ask, like, after I knew that they knew, I asked, hey, did your company manufacture Metazoo? Like, if you don't have your own design, we can't print any cards for you. Thanks all the same. We don't make Metazoo cards. And I was like, did you make them previously? Hello. Because the source basically was told something different by the agent from the Best Tarot House. This is owned by Mr. Leo Wong. We do not know who he is, but, I mean, it could be a registered agent. We're not sure. All right. So by this time, we had about 2,000 views on the video. I wanted to see what was going on with the market. I wanted to know if, hey, is this affecting the market at all? And yes, it did. A lot of people who are very smart understood immediately what that meant. They immediately started dumping Kickstarter First Edition onto eBay. You have $56 for a Kickstarter Mothman Full Hollow there with about 5 days left. You have Kickstarter Cryptid Nation Chupacabra Full Hollow for $1.25 down there, and so on and so forth. And it goes on for many, many pages. So there was a mass dump. Okay, so back to Best Tarot House. I asked, did you make them previously? I'm left on red. You can see that there on the bottom right. Hello, red. And then about 2 hours had gone by. Did you make Metazoo cards previously? Left on red, no answer. So they shuttered their doors. They knew that they got caught red-handed by this point. So now they're just doing damage control and stopping communications altogether. At this point, I'm like, you know what? Let's do their due diligence. I don't think I'm going to get a response from Mike because I've asked to promote Mike's game back in July and June. And he never responded to me. And I never expected to get a response at all, but just for the sake of the video, I had to ask directly to Mike. Good morning. I thought it best to finally ask you directly. I don't think you'll answer, but just asking out of due diligence. What is the name of the manufacturer for Kickstarter and First Edition Cryptid Nation? And he responded the next minute, like, hey, Alan, it's called Biaya. And I said, thanks. Yeah, man, not a problem. Have a nice day. So nothing crazy there, except we got the manufacturer's name. Here is the manufacturer. They are also a Alibaba custom card manufacturer. Okay? They make custom cards on Alibaba. They're called Dongguan Biaya Co. Board Game Co. Limited. And then I went ahead and talked with their agents. It's like, I just went out and asked. I didn't want to do some mystery shopping and like ruin an honest conversation. So it was like, hey, did you manufacture Metazoo? They asked, do you want to buy them? And I was like, man, if I say yes right now, then on video, I'm going to look very, very suspect. But I was like, no, I was just interested in proxies. Do you have some for sale? And you can find them. And no, sales them never. So it's like, yes, you can, but then maybe they realize, oh, wait, we saw this video earlier. No, we don't, we never sales them. And I was like, can I buy Metazoo? Because they said up there, do you want to buy them? Sorry, we are not made them now. Okay. And I asked, did you make them previously? And they're like, yeah, but now not do them. So they're saying they do not make them now. They made them previously. But it's weird because they also backtrack that in a later photo, so I'm going to explain that to you too. Here's images from their company profile. If you notice, they're hard at work. Those are Metazoo sheets on the bottom left there. And those are all the machinery that they use. It looks like to be old machinery that could easily get from other supplies. But something you guys need to notice too is those blue bins. Those blue bins are very, very important. Those blue bins were also at the Best Tarot House Trading Co. They're the exact same bins used at Best Tarot House Trading Co., which suggests that if they're in the same vicinity, then they're going to have the same exact supplier of equipment and of supplies and cardstock and foiling and everything else in between. I did a zoom in so you can see the Metazoo cards. Here, I wanted to show the bins a little bit clearer. You can see them on the left there. You can see the shape. I think they're just boxing up some puzzles there. Nothing big deal. No big deal there. I'm not sure. I think this is the corner cutting machine where they cut corners for the actual cards. I thought that guy's face was funny. He's like, exposed. And then I asked, hey, do you make proxies of any other games, Pokemon? They said, and I said, hello, and I'm also not sorry. And I was like, one last question. Do you work with or are affiliated with Best Tarot House Limited Co.? Okay. This is important because if they are affiliated in any way, even the supplier, then that's a massive red flag for collectors and investors because for obvious reasons, if you can get the supplies, you can get the printing equipment. If you can get all the above, you can basically make your own Metazoo cards and print money all day long. Something that's interesting is China has 661 cities. If you do 661 for the odds of having Metazoo in the same city the same city, you're basically like 1 in 436,000, give or take. So I thought that was very interesting. The odds of two manufacturers having the same materials, same supplies, and everything is about 1 in 436,000 odds. And I said one last question. Are you affiliated with Best Tarot House Limited Co.? I hope to hear back from you after they didn't answer. And then it was about 10 hours later because I think at the time I asked that question, it was like 1 a.m. or like 11 p.m. In China. So I had to wait a while for them to wake up and then get back to me in the morning. They did get back to me in the morning. Hello, I get up now. Now I'd like clarification some things because I am not sure who are you. I'm Alan the Kraken if you haven't heard of me. We are not any Metazoo game to you, but we have production Metazoo game. I don't know how to translate that, but you guys can try to do your guesses. She goes on to explain A. I couldn't tell you I was Metazoo's printer before due to an NDA, but they have given me the authority to say yes. We are the exclusive printer of Metazoo in China. Okay? That's very important because earlier they said no, and now they're saying yes. B. We have no connection with Tarot. They are being investigated for printing fake Metazoo cards. They do not have source files, and their cards are counterfeit. Okay. I didn't leave it there, okay? Basically, I went and read that, and then they were like, hey, are you here now? And I said, yes. And then she's like trying to assert that these are facts. And whenever someone tells me that something's a fact, I'm like, no, it's not. I'm going to do the research, okay? I always do the research. Always research. Do you know Metazoo fact now? And I said, I understand the information you have given me. I also noticed the card bins from Tarot are the exact same as the ones in your company photos. Do you have the same equipment and materials supplier? Being in the same city, I would assume so. Then she replies, and this is very weird. This lady is very wishy-washy overall. Um, Maybe little equipment, same, not same material supplier. Then she goes on to say, I'm not sure. Now I am not sure. The materials are the same. If you have samples to check and review them, so basically she's saying, hey, get some official Metazoo cards, try to get some cards from the other counterfeiter and compare the materials and see if they're the same. It's very likely they're the same because they have the same bins, they have the same supplies, they have the exact same card stock, they have the exact same foiling. Okay? The only way that I could see from a manufacturing standpoint to determine counterfeits from fakes if the same materials are used are the individual manufacturer's processes. By what I mean by that is if both have the same supplies, you're going to want to look at the physical cuts. You're going to want to look at roller marks. You're going to want to look for like any physical changes that happen during production of the cards. We know that Metazoo cards got roughed up pretty well. They had a bunch of dents and stuff in them in the early on. So finding sealed product isn't hard. You just have to find dents in a Metazoo box, and it's likely real. And that's sad that the counterfeiter has better quality. Let's put it that way, okay? So our estimation is that the corners are cut a little bit differently. There may be different frays on the edges of the cards. And also the ink may be more consistent with the counterfeiters than the actual Metazoo cards because the actual Metazoo cards have a lot of ink bleed issues. I've looked at, I bought 8 boxes of Cryptid Nation First Edition. I've looked at the backs of like a large portion of them, about 50% of them. I looked at the back of the cards for about 3 hours. There is a massive, massive variance between the copyright symbols, between coloration. Guys, coloration is not an authentication method ever. Magic the Gathering has coloration issues. Pokemon has coloration issues. Yu-Gi-Oh! Every card game has coloration issues. Do you know why? Because the ink runs out, or the ink heats up so much it actually shoots out and it causes more bleeds, which is what's happening here. Is they're trying to produce all these cards with these I'm going to call them low grade manufacturing equipment. So they're trying to pump out like production quality in mass, but they have to stop and shut down machines, change inks, or if a machine is overheating, they have to wait for the machine to cool down to restart, or they can just keep printing and not care about the bleeds, which is what a lot of people are thinking now. And that's basically where we're at. Um, as far as my analysis goes, this is my abstract, guys. So the research portion is over. This is my abstract. We found the original Metazoo manufacturer. We did our job. Mike was under an NDA. The company was under an NDA. They both came together. They realized what was happening. They realized that the market was getting destroyed and annihilated because of this news. So they came out and said some information. And we verified most of it, okay? The only thing that's really left up in the air, and it's kind of left like this cliffhanger moment where we may not get that climax we all hope for, but we need to know who the counterfeit supplier is, and we need to know who the supplier is for Biyaya Dongguan Limited Co. We need to know the supplier for Dongguan Best Tarot House. And if we know that they're the same, okay, then the only authentication method is going to be physical. Because the inks are going to be the same, the foiling's going to be the same, card stock's going to be the same. The equipment might be a little different, but again, they're low quality print machines. And until we figure that out, we're really not going to know for certain if a card is real or not. Now, you're also going to have to train a PSA to understand that. It's that's a whole other can of worms, and we're not going to do that in this video. It's going to be very interesting to see when there are very low supply cards like the sample cards, if their populations start going over 100 graded, because then people are going to like go, what's going on here? What's happening? Because there's supposed to be only 100 of each sample. So this case is basically closed with the exception of the supplier for both the manufacturer and the counterfeiter. And that's where we're at. I want to thank everybody who was involved, who helped do the research, who helped supply information, who gave ideas and gave different ways of thinking about things. Like even big LGSs were helping me. I'm not going to name them because they didn't ask me to name them, but I'm not going to name them. We had big LGSs ask questions or even offer help. They offered, like I said, like customs forms or customs records and stuff like that. It was very, very interesting, or not customs records, but import records, I should say. We didn't hack customs database or anything like that. But the whole thing is very interesting. Is this going to affect the Kickstarter and first edition Cryptid Nation going forward? I think so, because I've been in the industry for 20 plus years, looking at the images and looking at physical cards that I have in my possession. They look to be exactly the same card stock, card quality, card everything. Some people are saying that like some corners are a little bit more better manufactured than others. So that's the route we're going to go for authentication now, is looking at super rounded corners versus a little bit more boxy rounded corners, is my understanding of how we can go forward and fight these authentication of counterfeit cards. But that's not to say like, hey, it's not, the counterfeiter can change equipment at any time too, guys. So, but the good news is the counterfeiter got caught red-handed. The industry knows, Mike knows, everybody who needs to know knows. So maybe they'll get shut down, or maybe they'll just set up shop somewhere else. We're not sure. We're not exactly sure what's going to happen now. And that's the crazy thing in all of this, is like, yes, we got our answer. Yes, there could be more things going on. It could be worse than we thought. The counterfeiter could be making real cards with real supplies, with real printing equipment that the original manufacturer used. The original manufacturer being the Yaya Dongguan. So I think it's going to take a lot of guess and check for a lot of these Kickstarter cards coming out. I'd also be very, very careful of PSA, because I'm sure PSA doesn't know what to look for yet. So a lot of the older cards, if this manufacturer had already sent out cards, we're not sure. If the counterfeit manufacturer sent out cards, I should say. If the counterfeiter sent out cards, we're not sure how much they sent out. But we do know this, okay? This is what I wanted to say earlier. We have $50 million from the counterfeiter in total revenue per year. This custom card maker has $100 million in revenue each year. So you have a pool of about 10% to 50% of the cards on the market that are potential fakes, if you look at it from the revenue perspective. So, with that, we're going to go ahead and end this video. Thanks for stopping by. Remember to have fun. You all have a wonderful day, and peace.